Were you ever that 1 in 1 million? If so, what's your story? I had 8 wisdom teeth. The dentist had never seen anything like it and called the whole office in to marvel at my teeth. Edit. Can't find the X-ray, but I still have the teeth link. I was struck by lightning while talking on a landline. This was in the early 90s. Lightning struck the telephone line and traveled through the handset to my ear. My parents drove me to the ER. I couldn't talk very well. My brain knew what I wanted to say, but my mouth didn't want to say it. I had a terrible stutter. My doctor told me that I had had a dose of good, old-fashioned electroshock therapy. My speech was normal the next day, but I get a terrible headache whenever a thunderstorm comes through. Edit. Auto Cucumber Edit 2. Thank you for the gold. I get a terrible headache whenever a thunderstorm comes through. That's just your brain shouting stay away from the fucking phone. You, Orionova 89. I slept wrong one night and pinched a nerve in my neck so severely I lost the right side of my body, it just went silent like it wasn't there for months. I woke up in the worst pain I've ever experienced and couldn't talk, move or do anything. The doctor thought I was having a stroke. My doctor had never seen a case as severe as mine and it was purely a freak accident. Recovery took months, but I have use of my leg and hand again, with some numbness. Other than pain and spasms, I'm mostly back to normal. I hate reading stuff like this. If you're not safe lying asleep on a mattress, where are you safe? If it makes you feel better, the chances of it happening are smaller than dying in a fire in your sleep. I have completely unexplained hearing loss in my left ear. I had a cyst in it when I was 6, and the surgery to remove it and fix the ear was successful. When I was about 12, I woke up one morning with a killer headache and ear ringing, and after 3 days it went away and so did my hearing. Doctors did multiple examinations and an MRI and they said it should be totally functional, it just isn't. 1 in a million case. For my 7th birthday we went to Disneyland. They just happened to be having a car a day giveaway when we were there. For my 7th birthday, Mickey Mouse gave me a Pontiac Firebird. I have a very rare skin disease that only 1 in a million people get. I've been told that I'll probably never meet another person in my lifetime with it. Hailey-Hailey disease for those interested. Edit. For those asking. I was diagnosed by a team of dermatologists. They had to take a biopsy of one of my many outbreaks. A picture of that particularly horrible rash is currently in a medical journal, or so I've been told. Yes, it is a very painful disease. Yes, I get steroid injections for it. I also get Botox injections to control sweating and prevent some of my outbreaks. No, I don't know if you have this disease. You have to get a biopsy. Yes, it's inherited. My mother was a carrier, and I've been told my grandmother had the disease for more than half her life. So rare they named it twice. Edit. According to approximately 624 other Redditors, Manhattan is the other name. I have symmetric bilateral coloboma of the iris and retina. Essentially, my pupils are shaped like keyholes instead of circles. A single coloboma is pretty rare, double coloboma is even more rare, and double symmetrical. Well, you get it. Edit. Obligatory thanks for the silver, kind stranger. I fell asleep after posting this, and woke up to a bunch of feedback. I posted over in our eyes just now with more information. Link. I once guessed a 6-digit random combination on the first try. It was the only try I planned to give, as a kind of scratchpad whatever moment. Amazing. That's the combination on my luggage. I was in 2 separate car crashes in 2 separate cars in less than 45 minutes apart. Also, go you, Shark Boy, edit. I wasn't the driver for either crash. First car was hit from the side. Friend came and picked us up. Car lost traction and we slid off the road and hit a pole. Neither was that bad, just poor timing. Diagnosed with an extremely rare liver disease, primary hyperoxaluria. Some 300 people in the United States currently have it. Basically pass a lot of kidney stones and need a double transplant to fix. Edit. Whoa, just woke up to a whole lot of questions and support. Thank you all very much and thank you for the gold smiley face. Edit. 2 golds? Nice. Also, I should have been more clear. When I say double transplant I meant kidney plus liver transplant. Edit. Sorry for another edit, but I really just wanted to thank every single person who replied to my answer. So many times I lose myself in my own mind and feel alone, and the fact that I received support from strangers helps me so much. Some people even offered to donate. Wow. Just wow. It's hard to express over text, but I will forever remember this. Also, I wanted to say to check up on the people around you. I may look like a normal person. I don't have tubes running from my body. My head may not be bald, but I still suffer mentally, and kidney stones, haha. Just check up on your friends and family and make sure they are doing okay. Thank you everyone. I was so freakishly allergic to ant and bee venom as a child that a single sting from a single little common black ant put me into anaphylactic shock. When my allergist was preparing to start immunotherapy for me, he found that the in-office lab equipment wasn't sensitive enough to measure the infinitesimally small amount of allergen with which to start my titration, so he had to send a sample of my blood to Johns Hopkins so that their lab could determine how much to give me. I did immunotherapy for several years to reach an immune response level at which it would be safe for me to basically exist in a non-frozen climate. Good news, though, I'm good now. I've had a few run-ins with ants and wasps since my immunotherapy and my body didn't freak out and shut down, and research indicates that if it hasn't done that after this long, I'm probably safe for maybe forever? I don't have EpiPens and I'm not overly afraid of ants or bees. Edit. Woo-wah, overnight response. Thanks for the silver. To answer a few questions. I live in Florida. I am not outdoorsy, but stinging things are everywhere. It is, in fact, the Australia of North America. No, my parents would not move me to the frozen tundra to be a nomadic reindeer herder at my behest. Little black ants do, in fact, sting. Several Lasius subspecies have stingers and venom. When an ant bites you, that's using their mandibles and does not deliver venom. When an ant stings you, that's using their butt needle and delivers the pain juice. Most ants do one or the other. Fire ants do both at the same time. I did some research a while back and found an academic paper that indicated that if I haven't had a reaction after this many years, the likelihood that I ever would again is vanishingly rare. I wish I could find it again right now, but I am already late getting ready for work, so if I find it later I will post it. I feel completely safe having a cell phone instead of an EpiPen. I've got the middle toes on both feet webbed. So did Stalin. Quack. This feels like a fun fact but at the same time a threat. Agree. That's a significantly menacing quack. My ex was struck by lightning several times and lived. Died in a car accident though, so not as lucky as he claimed to be. I was on Tinder and was talking to this guy. He was supposed to meet me for dinner. I texted him and no answer, then I texted him on Tinder. Said that he couldn't make it, however, I got a text back from the number. It wasn't the guy that I thought I texted. It was the actor Gerard Butler. I thought he was lying until he FaceTimed me. Nice guy. Edit. Well, I didn't think this post would blow up. First, I didn't go on a date with him instead. He lives on the West Coast and I live on the East Coast. I didn't keep his number because I respect his privacy. When he FaceTimed me he was super casual and asked me why I was using Tinder and he wished me luck on it. Had two 11 cm benign tumors growing in my spine, resulting in gradual paralysis from my chest down. They had no idea how the tumors formed. Surgery took 11 hours when they thought it would take 4 because the tumors were so complexly woven throughout my spine. I now have pretty much half a spine and chronic pain, but I'd take that over losing my life from paralysis and being unable to breathe. Folded hands, medium light skin tone. Edit. Wow. Thank you for all the support. I didn't realize this was going to blow up as much as it did. If anyone has specific questions and wants to message me, feel free. I am at your service. Thanks again for all the support and love, it made my day. XO. I have an unknown type of autosomal dominant centronuclear myopathy. My type of it is so rare that they haven't even seen it before. Getting diagnosed was a multi-year struggle. They pretty much had to rule out everything else. It doesn't feel great to be in this club by myself. Countless blood draws, MRIs, CAT scans and a biopsy and genetic test. So far, it looks like my father and I are the only ones with it. Yay. Edit. Thank you guys for all the kind messages and support. I really do appreciate it. If anyone is going through the struggle of getting a diagnosis, message me. I can't help with the diagnosis, but I can help with the feelings. Second edit. As a researcher has pointed out, this isn't really rare. Just a type that hasn't really been seen in the population yet. Meaning there is certainly more people out there. Just not tested or diagnosed yet. In the future, I'll probably be 1 in 50,000 to 1 in 100,000. Sorry to make everyone think I was 1 in a million. Got a rare but potentially deadly rash from a medication. I laughed when I first saw the bottle with the warning, and said knowing my luck I'd get it. I did. Ended up in a burn unit with my skin sloughing off. Not a fun week. Edit. Holy shit, big response. It's been amazing to hear how many people have similar stories, and are taking meds with high risk. And for those wondering what med? It was Lamictal, lamotrigine for me. Should have taken your own prescription, not Steven Johnson's. No sure about the odds on this one, but I survived a non-survivable plane crush. I was on an old PO2, famous for being very safe and uncrushable, on a tour of the desert in western China when I was like 7. My father's friend who hosted me and piloted the plane didn't survive, but somehow I got out with a concussion and apparently passed out for almost a day in the middle of the desert, in the wreckage of the crash, 50 km from the town, airport, on the edge of the desert. The people who found me were some tree planters. They plant greens in the desert to protect towns from sandstorm. A lot of people live in these desert towns in China do this. Found me on their way picking up a shipment, and the only reason they looked was BC they were making a bet on how fast the egg would cook in the sand and went off the road to test. Edit. First thing first, according to legends, 15 min, I never tested it though. So, according to my dad's, the theory that I might have lived was because the plane was mostly made out of fabrics and wood. So when the plane crashed, the front half collapsed and took the majority of the impact. Though I got knocked out, I was probably covered under the wreckage and in the shades. It cooled me off enough to survive for a day or so. I am allergic to the cold. Like literally. I get intense hives, swelling, I pass out, and throw up. Doesn't even have to be freezing. Below 45 degrees without a jacket and I can't do it. I have to carry an EPI pen with me in the event that I drink something too cold or have a severe reaction. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for my first silver. It's been 4 hours, I guess the winter got him. No idea on the actual numbers, but I was born with 12 fingers. Identical extra digits on each hand. Edit. This blew up, so some backstory. I no longer have the fingers, my parents elected to have them removed shortly after birth. There was a video of when everyone found out, but my aunt has lost it over multiple moves. The fingers were functional and would have behaved as if they were part of the intended 10. I have a scar on each pinky from where they were removed. As an extra fun fact, my older sister had 2 extra toes that did not actually grow and show. They found this out in high school when she broke her foot and they went in for x-rays and found that she has extra bones in her foot that just never grew out into the toes. Edit. Too sorry everyone. I posted this then went to bed. Couple common questions. No, I am not from Alabama, or the South at all. The fingers would have worked and bent and functioned normally, they had bones, muscles, tendons, blood vessels. My hand is shaped completely normal. The fingers were like a double pack of Twix where they are side by side. The only thing that it would not have been able to do was move sideways very far as there was not a lot of webbing between original pinky and extra pinky. Fun fact number 2. This all comes from my dad's side of the family. My dad is born with 2 extra teeth and my sister and I have different moms. I'll try to answer any other questions that I did not cover in this. Well, I just woke up to a ton more questions. My parents decided to remove them to basically just save a child the hardship of being made fun of, which I fully understand. Kids can be cruel and I'm sure having 12 fingers is just ammo for them. The fingers were removed by being tied off as others have mentioned from similar situations in the thread. And no, I don't have any proof other than the scars, but they're tiny. The bigger of the 2 just looks like a tiny mosquito bite on my left pinky. The right one looks the same but is not raised. Also, this is now by far my most upvoted comment and now I'm going to be known as the 12-finger guy on Reddit. I know of a Spaniard who might be looking for you. I was actually homeless for 4 years between 1923 years old. As silly as it sounds, I used to earn some extra money at the time by helping around in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. It was my biggest hobby when I was younger and was something I felt confident about. I also didn't have a passport or a bank account, so I couldn't get a normal job. UK. Anyway, so at the time I was stuck not earning enough money, without a passport, a bank account, or a real job. In the UK you won't get hired by 99% of companies if you don't have a passport to prove you have the right to work. So one day I got a phone call from a studio asking if I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And would consider myself a geek, also if I wanted to be in a TV show. They said they would send me to another country as part of it. Being homeless, the biggest problems is being bored, so naturally I said yes, but told them I don't have a passport. No problem, we'll get you one straight away and pay for it ourselves. I ended up on a show called Geeks that you can still watch on Channel 4OD. Because I got this passport, I was finally able to get a job, a bank account, and finally a house. Now I am looking after my 10-month-old daughter who's playing while I type this. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Saved me from being homeless. I might be an anime characters. TLDR. Was homeless until a TV company gave me a passport allowing me to get a job and a house, because I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Edit. This blow up more than expected, so here are some answers to some questions. Also thanks for the gold and silver guys. How did you have a phone? I had a cheap brick phone that would run on battery for a week. Think old Nokias. I used to charge in my local library in Peckham, London. How did I help in Yu-Gi-Oh! I was a judge for the tournaments. They're a referee for the game. How did the TV company found out about you? I was a judge for the game, basically a referee. The TV show was looking for geeks with different hobbies and they found out about Yu-Gi-Oh! After, assume a Google search, they found the person who run my local tournament to recommend different players and people, and she recommended me. Why do you need a passport? So, in the UK you need a government picture ID and a national insurance number, like social security number, in order to prove you're allowed to work in the UK. I have migraines that cause me to go part or near completely blind, so can't drive due to the risk. So don't have access to a driver's license as ID, leaving me only with a passport. Edit 2. I am getting some people who are a little doubtful that it can be so hard to get a job while homeless, or to get ID, and are shocked it's taken me long to get out. What's important isn't what you know about the world right now. What's important is what I knew about the world as 19-year-old that just left school. Think back to that age and honestly ask yourself how easy it would be to get a job without a bank, and home, address, ID, or experience of anything. Of course now as a 27-year-old I'm armed with much more knowledge to find a way out. Edit 3. Some people have point we out that you can get a job without a photo ID, as long as you have a birth certificate. This is true from what I've researched but isn't common practice from what I had experienced at the time. I wish I could aim this knowledge back to the past but cannot. Edit 4. Thanks for all the love and support. I'm trying to reply to everyone but the amount of comment are really overwhelming. If I don't message back, in sorry. I own a Lego minifigure called Mr. Gold. This particular minifig was to celebrate the 10th series of the Lego figurine line. They are sort of like grab bags, you can feel for them but you don't know what minifigure you're really going to get. So because they were celebrating they thought it was a good idea to only make $5 of these. Anyways, when I was younger and even now I was really good knowing which figures they are simply by looking at the figures pieces and feeling out those pieces. I really liked the minifigures cuz I thought they were really cool and unique, so I really wanted Mr. Gold and me, and my mom hunted for it for a long time but after a while I gave up. Then one day I was at the Lego store and felt the distinct diamond piece and freaked out. Finding this figure was a downright fantasy. I'm 18 now and still want to relive 12-year-old me's pure joy as he opened the packaging. Edit. Thanks for making me Mr. Gold twice, also 2 words. The first one I don't know about the exact odds, but I was born on the 7th of July 77 and weighed 7 pounds 7 ounces. Sadly though I clocked in at 6:50 a.m. The other is that around the age of 14 I started to notice the outsides of both of my feet starting to get much wider. After a couple of years of buying expensive custom-made shoes they decided to perform surgery on my feet. Turned out I had extra muscle growth along with something else I don't recall at the moment. My podiatrist told me he submitted a scholarly article on it. May also have been genetic, as when my dad was 3, he developed an extra toe growing out of each one of his big toes. So close to 7 to 77 am. What? At 3? I knew you could develop extra toes as a fetus, but at 3? Criminy. Is no one safe? When I was a teenager I had just started working at the local Sears Auto Center Express Lube shop and on day one did a quick orientation and my first oil change. The manager walked away when he felt I was good to go and the oil change went well. Fast forward a few days later my manager asked me to come into his office and he explained that the oil filter I had used had one huge flaw. I didn't know what that was and it turned out the filter was pressed on backwards into the filter can and it wouldn't allow oil to flow in and it damaged the motor. They had to purchase a new motor for the person and I still kept my job. He said it was a 1 in a million chance that would have happened and it did on my first oil change. I was diagnosed with leukemia. I got a bacteria growth which killed the leukemia. A real 1 in 1 million chance edit. I almost died thanks to that bacteria though edit. Thanks for the silver and gold kind strangers. Uterus ruptured into my bladder after birth of my youngest. It was 1/4 in. Away from a major artery. Nearly died. Wow. The human body sucks at giving birth. Skeptical smiley face. Hope you're better now. I'm 31 weeks pregnant and reading Reddit at 2 a.m. to distract myself from my anxieties. This comment did not help, haha. But damn, I'm glad that you're okay. If it helps, here's a positive spin. Even with an inexplicable freak accident like that, modern medicine was able to pull her and her child through. You're in good hands. Best of luck, stranger. Less than 3. This is my mum's story and I've posted it before, but she once called her friend, back in the day on the landline, and another lady answered. My mum asks if her friend was there and the lady says sure I'll get her. My mum's friend hops on the phone and asks how she was here. Turns out my mum got a number wrong when dialing, called a random house where someone was hosting a Tupperware party and my mum's friend just happened to be attending it. What are the odds of that shit? A bird got into my room through a tiny hole in the ceiling and took a shit on me. Burb hole in ceiling. My sperm did the race straight to the egg, won, and now I've retired. Thank you, that is all. When I was a kid, I was chilling in the water of the Mediterranean Sea in Turkey. Suddenly I felt an awful burning sensation on my stomach and my legs. I looked like I had been brutally sandpapered and I got a 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, fever. Turns out I made contact with a jellyfish, and later found out that it hadn't happened on that beach for 10 years or so. I was just extremely unlucky. I was diagnosed with a rare cancer that happens in males more often than females. Usually happens to patients between 45 and 60, and happens in the abdomen or legs. I was a 34-year-old female, and it happened in my right arm. For the record, I am in remission, but I couldn't believe I defied everything about the stupid fucker. Edit. Okay. I'm going to be that person. My first gold. Thank you, kind stranger.